We have a lot of breaking news and updates that you won't hear anywhere else. And some of these things that are not being talked about elsewhere are rather surprising. Let's give you kind of a rundown on what we're going to be talking about today. This morning, we're going to be talking about Taiwan. They're on high alert this morning again as a major Chinese exercise looks like it's about to begin because the Chinese Navy has showed up in force. Or it could be the invasion. We're going to find out today or tomorrow probably. Speaking of invasion, Israeli forces have made it halfway to Damascus. And zero people seem to be talking about this. They've literally invaded Syria and gotten halfway to the capital with tanks and troops. It's not a small thing. And nobody's talking about it at all. We're also going to be talking about sanctions that China has levied on the United States and its allies with drone technologies. We've already talked about the rare earth minerals selling blocks, but these are big deals, and nobody's talking about that. We got reports on chocolate, egg, milk, and meat shortages from the Watchman community here. We also have someone from Germany sharing about how they do things over in Germany. They have milk filling stations at local farms, and so much more from this community of Watchmen. Let's jump into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar, an accountant by trade, and these are your reports. If you have an update that you'd like to share with people, make sure you use the word update somewhere in your comment. That gets it to the right place. Before we dive in, we do want to thank our sponsor, Genesis Gold Group. They help people who have retirement accounts to get out of stocks and bonds and other risky things and get over into gold, silver, or platinum. You can put these things directly into your retirement accounts. There'll be a link at the end of the video for you to find out more. All right, this is an alert from the U.S. Postal Service. International mail service to Canada, to the Canadians, is temporarily suspended due to the strike of the Canadian Union of Postal Workers. So 55,000 people in Canada, who happen to be the people for the U.S. For the Canadian Postal Service, have been on strike for 25 days in an effort to show how mission critical they are to the entire economy. They have forced companies over there to switch to courier services and apparently are becoming more and more irrelevant by the day. It is impacting ministries and organizations that really depend on year-end donations. But I think donors are finding ways to, send the money in without going through the mail. No word on when that strike is going to end. But if you're not in Canada, you may not have known this is even happening. We mentioned this a while back. It's surprising that it's still going on, but the world seems to be spinning. Let us know if you're in Canada and if it's a really big deal or if it's just been a minor nuisance. Taiwan went on high alert yesterday after China's military announced restrictions on Taiwan's airspace. And they've also deployed over 90 warships. Now, these are warships from all three of China's fleets. So that is notable. It's not one of the fleets. It's not just local ships. It looks like elements from all of China's Navy have arrived and are arriving around the island of Taiwan. No military drills have been announced at this point, but they seem to be arriving in such a way that a major drill is going to take place, a practice of blockading or invading the island. But nothing's been announced, so maybe it's just the invasion. We'll see about that, I guess. Moving on, we mentioned about how with Syria everything is up in the air. With the military bases that were controlled by Russian forces, kind of what was going to happen to them. We have an answer to that now. Apparently the Russian forces got assurances from HTS, which is the main ISIS-backed type party over there that controls the capital, that the Russian forces will not be attacked. They will not be pushed off their bases. And so those places seem to be secure for now. Russian forces have not been overwhelmed or attacked on their bases that we can hear so far. Israeli forces, on the other hand, as I mentioned before, have moved further into Syria. Not only have they taken Mount Hermon and continued along that mountain range there, they have captured at least 4 villages, including Bet Tema. Now, that village is notable for the fact that it's about 20 kilometers from Damascus. And considering the fact that it's approximately 20 kilometers from where the Israeli line of control was, like 3 days ago, they advanced the line of control 20 kilometers towards Damascus, halfway. And it's very interesting to me that nobody's talking about this. They are doing a major land grab, or they're moving their forces into striking distance of Damascus. When you're 20 kilometers away from the city, your missiles, your air defense systems, all that kind of stuff like that, you can take out anything over the capital of Damascus. So that's kind of a big deal. Now combine that with the 300 plus airstrikes that they've done in the last 48 hours on air bases, missile stockpiles, air defense systems. They've been going after basically anything that they don't like in Syria, and they've been doing it with urgency. And they really haven't been meeting any resistance because remember, I don't know if you've seen this, but over on Twitter there are videos of the ISIS guys, HTS guys, at the airport sitting in helicopters watching YouTube videos on how to fly that helicopter. That's kind of basically where HTS is right now. They have aircraft and stuff on the ground, but they don't know how to fly this stuff. They don't know how to use the air defense systems. They don't know how to use the air defense radars. It's they're defenseless right now to air attacks. And with a disciplined army coming right at them via Israel. Now, I don't know what happens next. I don't know if Israel is just grabbing a bunch of more territory just so they have future options, or if they're going to grab Damascus. It's possible. They have people inside their government that have basically said that they want to make Syria and Lebanon part of Israel. So we'll see what happens next. All right, so China, at the behest of the United States, has begun blocking exports of motors, batteries, and flight controllers for civilian and military drones, the so-called dual-use items, but not to Russia. They've actually blocked the exports to the United States now and to our allies, basically everybody who's supplying Ukraine. So we pressured them to stop sending dual-use stuff to Russia, and they decided to stop sending dual-use stuff to us. That kind of blew up in our faces. You can just taste the competency coming out of our administration right now in Washington. Not only that, but of course we talked about just several weeks ago, they imposed bans on exports of certain rare earth minerals to the United States, critical minerals in sensors, night vision, as well as guidance systems for some of our interceptor missiles and such. And we can't get that stuff anywhere else. They are looking at, it looks like they're chopping us off at the knee. They've bought up those supply chains. They've driven everyone else out of business, and they're the only ones who make those things. And now apparently they are exercising that power by refusing to sell it to us as World War III escalates. This is from Miss Audrey. Chocolate and cocoa are now non-existent here. Costco has discontinued all products containing chocolate or cocoa due to ingredient shortages. Get chocolate while you can, if you can find any. And just a note from me, just cocoa. If you can get cocoa, that's what you really want. You can make chocolate out of cocoa, but cocoa is what's missing, and it will store a lot longer than if you get like chocolate bars or something like that. So get the cocoa so you can make brownies or whatever like that you want in the apocalypse. It'll be fine because if it's in the cans, it lasts a very long time. Grammy Robbins says no eggs at a major chain grocery store in the far north of California. The clerk says there is a, quote, warehouse problem, but more eggs expected to be delivered tomorrow. Clerk also said that he expects that they will be sold out within 24 hours. So they're getting more eggs in shortly, but they're going to be gone even more shortly. That's where all the egg hen cullings have been taking place, California. So the West Coast is not a good place to be to get eggs. And when they cull these million-plus birds, they also take all of the eggs that have been laid in the last day or two, and they smash them. They bury them with the chickens. They take all the eggs off the shelf, and they throw them in the landfill as well, or basically the hole that they scrape in the earth at the farm. And that's where a whole bunch of eggs go to. So if you had a contract to get a whole bunch of eggs from that farm, and then that farm culls its entire flock, well, you can't get eggs anymore from them. So you have to figure out where you're going to buy them from. And so that will mess up people's supply chains. TNet says, here in Germany, there are some milk filling stations located directly at dairy farms. This is raw milk filtered and cooled down, and you can fill it up yourself in glass bottles. Slightly more expensive, but it tastes so good. A nice way to support local farmers. Yeah, it's like when we talk about these things, people are like, it's never done that way. But then you go over to Europe and you're like, that's how they do it. I mean, it's so many places around the world, they've been doing things like this for hundreds and sometimes thousands of years, and they don't really do things the new way all the time. Whereas the United States doesn't have that history, and so we've been sold so many erroneous, false things that we've just swallowed whole. All right, moving on. Tryon says, update. The Costco in Spokane, Washington has no eggs. About 5 cartons of milk, super limited sour cream, cottage cheese, and coffee creamer. All those are limited. It was packed with people, but carts were not full. Can tell that people are not buying as much. This is a report from Sadie. East Central Indiana, Ohio, Indiana state line. Aldi was not stocked very well on dairy products as of December 7th. No cream cheese, no cottage cheese, limited yogurt, sour cream, and dips. We're hearing dairy, dairy, dairy. Everything was spread out to make it look more full. I bought 3 extra organic milk half gallons because of Steve's previous reports. We're warning you. We're trying to get you guys ahead of the curve. That's what we're aiming for here. Keep you in the know so that you're ahead of the curve, so you have time to stock up on things before it all disappears from the shelves. But we're seeing that process happening right now. Jan in Allentown with some important information here on Bovaer. Here are the warnings to industrial workers who handle Bovaer, the anti-cow fart medicine. The warnings advise that improper handling may affect fertility. Start putting these dots together, friends. As a woman who nursed her children, I know there were tons of things that could be passed on through breast milk. This begs the question of whether the same is true of Bovaer and the cows. So what's passing through them into us? So I was there like, well, is this just rumor or whatever? Let me go see if I can find some safe handling information on this stuff. I mean, because if it's in a workplace, you have to have the chemical safe handling stuff, right? That's a workplace safety thing. So apparently the research on rats showed that exposure to this chemical impacted the size and development of the gender-specific organs of both males and females. That's a big deal. Now they're saying that, well, that was just in large quantities. Where's the human evidence? Well, they just haven't tested it. So they know it's a problem in rats where they test it, but they're just kind of assuming it's not a problem in humans. And so they're shoving it into all the cows and hoping it doesn't come out in the milk. Or maybe they know exactly what it's going to do, and it's going to further limit the population of the world. They're using it in Australia, they're using it in the UK, they're using it in other European countries, and now they're using it in the United States. It seems like we're just dedicated to the eradication of the human species. It seems like that's what they're trying to go for, and that's really troubling. I'm really not a fan of that depopulation plan. Ashley in Oregon says, we went to Costco this evening and they had 0 eggs, not even a shelf or a price tag for them anymore at a Costco. They spread the milk out, but even that was really low and down to its last pallet of 2 or 2. Nothing was stored above for restock. Butter was also down to 1 shelf, both salted and unsalted. We stocked up on what we could, but we see eggs not even having a place. I wonder how long this shortage will last. Well, it's probably just going to get worse for the next month or so, and we're going to have to see how many more chickens they cull this coming month. Now, they did just cull 1.7 million last week in California, so that's going to keep things at least in the downward arc. We need to see no cullings for about 6 months to get to repopulate our flocks. But that's not what's happening so far. We just keep having millions upon millions upon millions upon millions getting culled here in the United States, where we actually have to release that information publicly. In Canada, it's happening. In the UK, it's happening. In Australia, it's happening. But we're just not being told very much about it. And certainly not the numbers. Parmis says, Northern California Sam's Club had 0 Horizon milk. Low in Members Mark brand milks as well. Eggs, butter, and cheese. Chips were low, but that was possibly due to football games. Coffee was low to okay, depending on whether it was K-Cups or instant coffee. Beef is low to the point of being nearly non-existent. Hopefully you guys are paying attention and getting stocked up and helping your friends and family get stocked up. This is from Catherine, South Bay area, California, Greenbelt area. No fresh veggies. No dairy, no bread, lots of prepackaged junk food, which is what they want us to eat. We should always have fresh vegetables here. We live in the Greenbelt. I mean, that's where it comes from, right, California? But a lot of it does come in the off season from Mexico. And there's been some issues along the border and then also down there. Foy says, Puget Sound, Washington. Dollar Tree. Wow, lots of people there so early in the morning. Seems that no money is driving people to go to cheap for food and gifts. Carts not that full, even at the Dollar Tree. Grocery stores seeing empty shelves here and there too. Also, no cottage cheese. Coffee creamers also low. God bless and Merry Christmas, everyone. And I say that to you guys as well. Thanks so much for watching and being part of this Watchman community. If you want to get some more information from Genesis Gold about what you can do with your retirement account, there's a link right there. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I will see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.